So Kenmare Shamrocks 2-12, Dr. Crokes 1-14, and what a game of football we have witnessed in the Kerry Football Championship. Sean O'Shea in the end with a late point snatching the victory for Kenmare Shamrocks when well and truly they looked beaten on multiple occasions. They only led once in the game before that, and that was just after the goal from Dan McCarthy, and even after that Dr. Crokes resurged a little bit. They regathered their momentum and kicked a few fine points from the likes of Paul Brosnan, for example. But in the end, it was Kenmare Shamrocks who got the victory. Sean O'Shea victorious in the end, and I think he is definitely a candidate for man of the match in my opinion, alongside Dan McCarthy. What's going on, everyone? It's Aaron here from GA Fan TV. I hope you're all keeping wonderfully well. Back again, of course, with another match reaction. And of course, this time I was having a look at Kenmare Shamrocks taking on Dr. Crokes. And what a game of football that we have witnessed between these two clubs. I suppose, first of all, what we'll do before we jump into the game is we'll have a look at the teams that both sides had. So I suppose, first of all, what we will do is have a look at the side that won the game in the end. And of course, the team that were playing at home in Kenmare. And that was, of course, Kenmare Shamrocks. In goal, they had Kieran Fitzgibbon. In the full back line, they had Dara Crowley. They had James McCarthy, Tommy O'Sullivan. In the half back line, it was Shane O'Sullivan, Dara O'Shea and Matt Murnan. And then, of course, in midfield, it was Kevin O'Sullivan and Fionnan O'Sullivan. Have to say, Kevin O'Sullivan, very bright in this game at times from Kenmare Shamrocks. He was the difference maker in many ways, and maybe even a candidate for man of the match in my opinion, because it was his balls in particular into Sean O'Shea in those closing stages when Sean O'Shea started playing on the edge of the square that, in my opinion, made the difference. And I think Kevin O'Sullivan deserves a lot of credit for that. In the half forward line, Mark Crowley, Sean O'Shea and Tom Murnan. Of course, Sean O'Shea, as we said, ended up playing on the edge of the square, playing in a full forward. Michael McCarthy, Dan McCarthy and Paul O'Connor. Dan McCarthy hitting 1-4, very outstanding performance from him as well. Michael McCarthy's brother done quite well as well. He was very good at offloading the ball into Dan McCarthy, who more often than not was the vocal point of Kenmare's attack at times. If we have a look at the Dr. Crokes team, Shane Murphy in goal, David Naughton, Michael Maloney and Fionn Fitzgerald making up the full-back line. David O'Leary, Gavin White, Michael Potts. Michael Potts, outstanding goal in this game from Dr. Crokes. One of the best goals you will see this weekend, no doubt about it. He was basically running into a cul-de-sac, it seemed, when he had the ball. You know, he ventured up into the attacking line, and you know, he was going straight into a cul-de-sac, managed to turn away from one or two players, and then calmly placed the ball into the top right corner. Very calm finish beyond the Kenmare Shamrocks goalkeeper, and a really well taken goal from Michael Potts. Mark O'Shea and Johnny Buckley in midfield. Johnny Buckley very bright at times, especially in that first half. Very bright game indeed, and even at times in the second half. I think Dr. Crokes went a lot more direct in the second half with their passing, and Johnny Buckley in particular was at the centre of that. And the half forward line, you had Michael Burns, Gavin O'Shea and Brian Looney, and then in the full forward line you had Tony Brosnan, David Shaw and Killian Fitzgerald. Tony Brosnan and David Shaw definitely the vocal point of Dr. Crokes' attack. David Shaw at times looked very bright. He actually reminded me a lot of David Clifford at times, the way he would just peel away from his man and kind of push him away a little bit and do it with such ease. Maybe doesn't have the same quality as David Clifford. I'm certainly not comparing the two, but I did think he was very bright at times, David Shaw, and he would maybe be a player certainly to keep an eye on as the years go on. Tony Brosnan, very bright at times. Kicked some very fine points. Actually missed a couple of chances as well in this game that I think came back to haunt Dr. Crokes. There was a late free that Dr. Crokes had late on and Tony Brosnan missed it, and that was a huge chance in particular for him and for Dr. Crokes to wrap up the game, and it was a chance they didn't quite take. And there was even a one or two moments in the first half where Dr. Crokes missed one or two easy frees, and in the end that's come back to bite them. And I mean, if we get into how the game started, so pretty early on Dr. Crokes very much assembled their dominance in the game. They were very direct at times in the way they played, getting the ball into the half forward line and into the full forward line. And I thought Kenmare Shamrocks in defence, they just weren't tight enough with their marking, and they let too many players free in the edge of the square at times, and obviously just outside the square as well. And of course Dr. Crokes were capitalising it quite significantly with points obviously from David Shaw and Paul Burns in particular. They got that goal in the end from Michael Potts, very calmly taken goal like I was saying before, and you know, Dr. Crokes led at 6 points at half time. Kenmare Shamrocks, I thought midfield at times were just a little bit loose in possession. They didn't move the ball as quick enough as they did in the second half, and I think that was something that they just didn't quite capitalise on enough in the first half. They were very slow on the ball, they didn't get enough men forward, they were relying quite heavily on Dan McCarthy. They were almost playing him up front by himself at times, and everyone else just drifted into the midfield, and they just weren't getting enough out of the game. They weren't creating enough goal chances, and generally speaking there wasn't enough output from this Kenmare side. But in the second half it made a significant difference. Now obviously they were playing with the breeze, so that made a significant difference of course in the first half for Crokes, and it did make a difference for Kenmare in the second half. And in the end, you know, it was Kenmare turned it around. You know, they got that goal, of course a long ball into Sean O'Shea, and it eventually fell to Paul O'Connor, who dispatched it very comfortably. And that was you know, that was the first time that Kenmare Shamrocks led in the game, and it looked like from then, with you know 6 to 7 minutes to go, that would be the difference for Kenmare. But in the end, Dr. Crokes turned it around again. They kicked some fine points again. Of course, again, Tony Brosnan getting involved. Tommy Looney hitting one as well. Very nicely taken point on the left-hand side. And, you know, going into stoppage time, obviously, Sean O'Shea hit a fantastic point, peeled away from his man. Hit it very well on his right boot, but it didn't really look like Kenmare were going to turn it around. They had a couple of chances. Sean O'Shea dropped one short at one stage, got into the 6th and 7th minute of injury time, and it looked like the referee was going to blow it up. I mean, he was more than entitled to do so at that point. And in the end, of course, the free came, and Sean O'Shea, never going to miss, one of the best free kick takers in the country, and in the end he dispatched it, and Kenmare Shamrocks win in the dying moments, just like they did against Temple. No, Kenmare Shamrocks writing quite the story for themselves in the championship this year, and by all means, fair play to them. Man of the match for me, I think it's between Sean O'Shea and Dan McCarthy. I think Sean O'Shea just had a little bit more of an influence. It wasn't like it was his best game ever. I mean, his first half performance wasn't quite there, it wasn't quite up to the standard, although I don't think he had the men in front of him to really do something. But I thought in the second half, outstanding, playing on the edge of the square, catching a lot of high balls being lofted into him by Kevin O'Sullivan, like we were saying. And, you know, again, of course, drifting in at times on the left hand side, cutting back, beating his man, kicking some fine scores, and I think Sean O'Shea just made the difference for Kenmare Shamrocks in this one, which is why he is my man of the match. I suppose from a Dublin point of view, obviously I've no affiliation with either of these clubs, I've no affiliation with anyone from Kerry, so I was completely watching this from a neutral point of view, not sure really what I was going to expect. I obviously know quite a bit about a lot of the inter-county stars, and I mean, look, listen, Kerry have a lot of young players coming through at the moment, and you know, maybe this could be their year, with especially from a Dublin point of view, Jack McCaffrey not there, Bernard Brogan's retired, Jim Gavin's no longer there. You just never know, especially with Kerry this year and some of the players that they are bringing through. So, very interesting game nonetheless between these two clubs. I'll certainly be keeping a close eye on the final when it comes around. But nonetheless, lads, I do hope you enjoyed this video and enjoyed some of the football action. I'm gonna probably take a quick look now at the St Unions match. St Unions. Absolutely getting that wrong, making an absolute tit of it. But sure, look, listen, my name is Aaron. We will end the video here, and yeah, do leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll speak to you lads on Monday. Goodbye.